All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back once again to The Charge. This is, of course, your boy Bernie here live. And before we get going, guys, let me just fix something really right quick. I do apologize for unpreparedness for the stream. We do have stuff to talk about, of course, but there is a couple of interesting stories that we have to kind of develop and discuss. Obviously, the biggest one today will probably be the Lloyd Pierce story. Just figuring out like what happened, like what we think of the move, everything like that. So be sure to get tuned in for that. We'll also be talking about this sort of Nike scandal that's going on. This one, I think, for a lot of sneakerheads or people that are in the community, from this sort of generation that we're in, where it comes to sneakers, where basically if you don't have a bot or any sort of means, unless you want to pay extra money, you're not getting that shoe. And of course, we're going to be talking about the huge scandal that came out of Nike and why their VP decided to retire, or I guess leave. I'm not sure what the right word is there, but she has decided to leave her post as Nike vice president. But like I said, before we talk about these stories, please remember to hit that like button. Also remember to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Again, guys, the more likes, the more subscribes, the more people are going to be wanting to watch the channel. And of course, guys, this is going to be a very interesting sort of Monday night to kind of start your days. But let's start it off with, of course, the first story, going with Lloyd Pierce. And of course, guys, what better way to start by Real GM? And this is, of course, coming from basically all news sources, whether it's Adrian Wojnarowski or anything else. The Atlanta Hawks have fired Lloyd Pierce as their head coach. The Hawks have a 14-20 record after an extensive remaking of their roster during free agency. Atlanta hired Pierce as their coach after the 17-18 season. So, by all accounts, Lloyd Pierce has gotten about, I believe, if we look at the total years, he's only gotten about 3 years to really develop and grow this team. But what I think I find most frustrating, I believe other Hawks fans, I've talked to many Hawks fans, I think the reason why they're frustrated with it is because they understand that there's been a lot of injuries to this roster. Bogdanovich not playing with the knee injury. Probably won't be playing for the rest of the year, to be honest with you. You had Gallinari, again, injured. Dunn, injured. Rondo, injured. Like, I have yet to see Rondo. And, you have this ongoing battle between John Collins and Trae Young. So this is causing a huge turmoil, or I should say huge tensions between the teams. And this is the reason why I think Lloyd Pierce probably deserved another year. Now, I think the reason why I would give him only this year is because, look, maybe he could turn it around. Who knows? I mean, there's many different things. And this, to me, just kind of sparks from the old school mentality that I have, is that I would love to see a coach there for like 15 to 20 years, even 10 years. I think 10 years at least, depending on what goes on. Brad Stevens right now is kind of getting that sort of brunt of the force from the Celtics fans. Do I think Brad Stevens is the fault of the Celtics? No, but I also think that, we should really be looking at the whole situation at hand and looking at what's really going on as it pertains to, the situation at hand. I think what's frustrating to me is that this is, of course, another situation where we look at another coach that does not yet to get another opportunity to kind of grow and develop his team. Like, that, to me, I think I find more frustrating than anything, is because I know what type of coach Lloyd Pierce. He comes from the Greg Popovich tree. Most coaches from the Greg Popovich tree do really well. Quinn Snyder was there. Lloyd Pierce was obviously there. Budenholzer was there. I mean, Budenholzer has gotten so many chances with becoming a head coach. And I think he's botched every one. And I don't think it's fair that, you have one coach that keeps botching it with the Bucks. I mean, I know the Bucks, they have some historically great offenses, but ultimately the goal for every team, analytics or not, is to get your team to the championship. And for whatever reason, the Bucks, the Hawks, they were just not able to get there under Budenholzer. So why should he be considered for another coaching job? Again, with Stan Van Gundy, I think another guy that has gotten so many coaching jobs that it's crazy to me that he is able to get so many of those jobs and then be able to, be there for a couple years. Like, how did he get this Pelicans job? Because he's obviously shown before in Detroit and in Orlando after the Dwight Howard years, like, he was just not cut to be a good coach. Like, he's a decent coach. I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but maybe as a coordinator. It's the same thing with D'Antoni. It's the same thing with all these other coaches. And this is where I find it frustrating and very, I hate the culture that we live in, where a coach cannot even get 3 to 4 years of actual coaching experience. Like, I understand that Lloyd Pierce isn't doing well. Like, I understand if you look at a coach and be like, man, this is way above his pay grade. Let's see if we can maybe make him an interim coach and have someone else kind of step in. I would be okay with that because obviously every coach, just like every player, matures differently. And so I don't understand why Lloyd Pierce was not given that opportunity. Yes, I understand that the Hawks are not playing well, but it's also due to injury. You know, this is kind of the first year where he's actually had a super team, quote unquote, or a team that he's able to kind of grow and develop with very talented players. But at the same time, what I find frustrating, and I think a lot of you would probably find frustrating too, is that, this guy has only been given so little of an opportunity to actually coach and to actually do his thing that, like I said, it is frustrating to watch this sort of situation happen, to see that a guy like Lloyd Pierce, was given such a short opportunity. And at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. Lloyd Pierce, let's see what kind of job he gets. I know Nate McMillan is going to be the interim head coach. So we're going to see what Nate McMillan can do as the interim head coach and see what he's really about. We'll see, if Nate McMillan, another guy that's also, traveled around the league a bit, been in a couple places, Seattle, Portland, Indiana. So he's been around the block. And again, he's another coach where it's like, he's getting so many opportunities. And his teams just haven't found that success that they're looking for. But at the end of the day, you're looking for a coach that can bring this team to the best of its ability. Now, I think Lloyd Pierce had a lot of room to grow, and I think that he still is a coach, a very young coach at that could definitely grow and develop. So it's kind of frustrating to me that he didn't get that time to grow and develop the way that I think the Hawks really wanted them to really wanted Pierce to be. I think another thing that kind of also hurts this as well is that Lloyd Pierce is a very big proponent and very big, strong person in the Atlanta, Georgia community. And that's something that, of course, the Atlanta Hawks are going to miss with the guy like Lloyd Pierce, who was so connected to the city, a guy that was probably, I don't know if he was from there or where he's from, but I know he's well connected with it. So it is frustrating to see that a guy like Lloyd Pierce just can't stay in the spot for at least another year to see if they can't do it. And then in a year, if they can't, then you let him go. And then you say, look, these are the reasons why we couldn't continue with you. We saw so many disappointing opportunities. And that's the reason why we had to let you go. And then I think everybody would be okay with it. But now, it just comes to this whole situation of minority coaches and kind of their opportunities to get a spot. And, you're inviting those type of criticisms, even though Nate McMillan himself is a minority getting a spot here as an interim head coach. It just kind of goes to show you that, we still have a long way to go. But also, like I said, it's frustrating to see that a guy like Lloyd Pierce, young in his career, is not given that opportunity. It's kind of the reason why I get frustrated with today's culture, just in all sports of coaching. Coaches don't get those long tenures anymore. They get maybe 5 years max, and then they're like, okay, we got to let you go, or, it's not really working for us anymore. And then you just get into this whole messy situation with what's going on. And it's just creating this sort of uneasiness around the league right now that at any time you could get fired. Like at any time you could lose your spot. You could lose your job. Because like I said, it's easier to fire the coach than it is to fire a bunch of players making a bunch of money. And so at the end of the day, the coaches have to take the blunt of the force, blunt of the firing. They did, to be honest with you, they take the least amount of credit and get the most amount of blame. And, I'm not saying that all the coaches, deserve, get most of the credit and most of the blame, and it's just kind of that double-edged sword, I should say. I meant to say double the credit, double the blame there. And it's just kind of one of those situations where you just look at it and be like, why don't you give this guy another opportunity? Why don't you give this guy a chance to coach and see if he can't coach himself out of this hole that he's in? I think, working with Nate McMillan, they won a couple games. I just think that you rely on Nate and really get him going. I mean, we saw how Trae Young was playing at the beginning of the season. He was playing at basically an all-star level, didn't get it this year, but definitely played at an all-star level. And then you just kind of look at the situation at hand where it's like, why does he not get another opportunity? But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. I'd be curious to know what you guys think of this whole Lloyd Pierce situation. The other story we can look at as well is kind of the coaching carousel that's going on and seeing which replacement could be a good idea. This, of course, coming from CBS. Number one, of course, is Nate McMillan because he is obviously there right now. He knows the the personnel, he knows the lineup, he knows the people there. So maybe that could be a situation where you could see him potentially being just the head coach eventually. Um, and that's just kind of the situation that you got to look at when it comes to Nate McMillan and the coaching there. And again, we'll see what happens there. The number 2 one, I'm not so sure why this is even one, but Luke Walton, and we'll read what they have to say. Our first but hardly last foray into the Steve Kerr coaching tree is the one that has struggled the most as NBA head coach. Walton was fired by the Lakers under 3 underwhelming seasons. Now, excuse me. Through the second season in Sacramento, the Kings are 1-10, their last 11. On Sunday, they lost a game that they led by 8 with a minute left. The man who hired in Sacramento, Vlade Divac, is gone. Walton's time in Kings is limited. I'm glad. But I don't think he's the right guy for the job either. He's another guy that's just kind of I wouldn't say a yes man, but he's a very bland coach. I don't think he has personality. I don't think he adds anything to the team. And I'm not saying that personality is something that is a coach's X factor as to why you should hire them. But it is frustrating to see that, like I said, he doesn't get an opportunity to grow and develop and get that job. But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. Number 3, Alvin Gentry. Again, another coach that has gotten a lot of opportunity. I want some of the young guys to get these opportunities. I understand that all these teams are hiring old players and old coaches. Or I should say old coaches, like the older coaches. I'm like, why don't you give some of the younger, on the bench assistant coaches some opportunities to see if they can do something? Like I always see what's his name? I always see Van Gundy always on the bench. Like, why can't a young assistant coach, which they finally hired, and I believe, what team that just hired a young the assistant coordinator or the assistant head coach? Let's see here. It was the Minnesota Timberwolves. Chris Finch, I believe, is the coach. Again, hey, what's up, Sean? Chris Finch got an opportunity there, and it's just kind of one of those things where it is frustrating to see that, he finally got an opportunity as an assistant head coach. I know that Nick Nurse was really someone that he liked, someone Nick Nurse really wanted by his side, but ultimately just said, you know what, I'm going to do it. Let him go. And I just think that was the right move. So, why don't a lot more assistants that actually want the job? The people, Becky Hammond, again, another coach that should probably get an opportunity. See what she's got. If she doesn't have it, then it is what it is. You just have to deal with the consequences, or you have to deal with, whatever situation kind of comes from that. I just think that at the end of the day, if they don't fit, they don't fit. And then they go back to the bench and they grow and develop again. And, it's kind of a coaching carousel. Again, basketball in the NBA, there are only 30. I believe there's only 32. Maybe I could be wrong. There may be more. But there's only so much limited spots. 30 spots. I mean, that's got to tell you something, man. You can't expect all coaches to be great, but at the same time, the NBA is such a limited opportunity to be a head coach. It is a special honor to be a head coach in the NBA. Does it come with its stress? Does it come with all this other kind of nuances with it? Yes, it does. And it's just kind of frustrating to see that a guy like Lloyd Pierce, again, did not get that opportunity. And now we have to look at coaches like Alvin Gentry or Jaron Collins, who, another protege, which I'm not really a big fan of. Mike Brown, another opportunity to coach. D'Antoni, again, another opportunity to coach. Kenny Atkinson, probably someone that should get an opportunity. I think he was shafted at Brooklyn. I really do. But at the end of the day, what I really look at, and Sean, I don't know if you're in this kind of full-fledged, because I know you're chilling with the boys. What do you make of the Lloyd Pierce situation? Do you think he should have been fired? Do you think they should have kept him? Because again, I'm at a loss for words as to what to say about Lloyd Pierce, because like I said, I think he was good enough, man. I thought he was good enough. I think he's good enough. Give him the end of this year. If he doesn't do it, doesn't get you to the playoffs, doesn't get you in that playing game to get in there, and loses, then we can actually have some conversations about it. But at the end of the day, it is frustrating to see that Lloyd Pierce was not given this opportunity, and now I'm looking at a bunch of coaches The ownership as a touch, he should have gotten time to develop. And that's the thing, Sean. Like I think when I talk about it with anybody, I even talked about this with our friend Josh, Sean. I just don't know why coaches are not given enough time. Like, we joke about Arsenal. I know not a lot of you guys are soccer fans, but for me and Sean, I know we are. Arteta, the coach for Arsenal. Why not give him more time? Like, why not give these coaches that are clearly in need of more growth and development? Why don't you give these coaches more time to grow? See if they can't do something with that growth and development, and see if they can't provide or make you a winner. Like, we think of the days of like Arsene Wenger or Sir Alex Ferguson or even Doc Rivers. Like, let's look at a guy like Doc Rivers, right? For the first like couple, let's look at Doc Rivers' first, coaching years. Let's go to Doc Rivers. And let's look at his coaching record, and we can kind of go to Stat Reference and kind of look at his career starting in Orlando. Basically 41 and 41, 43 and 39, 44 and 38, 42 and 40, and then 2004 2005 got hired by Boston, got them to the playoffs, and then basically had some proverbial losing seasons. It was kind of one of those ridiculous situations where a lot of these coaches and I think he even got fired here after going 1-10. They were just like, yeah, we're done with you. And it's just kind of one of those situations. You look at it, all these years that he's been in Boston, especially the 2 years, it's kind of like, oh, is Doc Rivers really the coach to hire, and at the end of the day, it's just kind of one of those things where you look at it and you're just wondering why coaches like Doc Rivers, why there's not more coaches like that. The leash is too short. He's built good core to grow and got screwed. And that's exactly right, Sean. I think he did get a good core and basically got shafted from actually developing. Yeah, I think Trae Young is developing. To be honest with you, I think he's developing a little bit of bad habits mentality-wise. Like, the Hawks are severely underperforming Supreme Gamer. I do agree with you in that aspect. But what I find frustrating, Supreme Gamer, is that, coaches don't get many opportunities, right? We talk about, especially a lot of people talk about how minority coaches do not get a lot of opportunity. And, I understand, he had about 3 years right now, or this was going to be his third season. Or maybe this was his fourth. I can't remember. But why not give this coach? Excuse me as I yawn. Man, yawning today, not good. But why is this coach given so much opportunity? Like, why is he not given at least 4 to 5 years to see, like, okay, maybe he'll do something, and if he doesn't, then you got to do it. I don't think they were a dark horse, Sean. I thought they were at least going to be a six or an eighth seed. Or 6 through 8, so maybe you could say like a dark horse for that type of stuff. But like I said, it is disappointing. It is frustrating. At the end of the day, when we look at the whole situation at hand, it's just one of those things where I wish that he was given a lot more of an opportunity to grow and develop, to actually do something with this time. Because like I said, he deserves that amount of time. He deserves that amount of, given opportunity. But unfortunately, he was not given that opportunity. He was fired, and we don't get any more Doc Rivers type of coaches. We don't get the Greg Popoviches of the world. Let's even look at Greg Popovich. I know Greg Popovich probably has a better track record. We kind of look at here. He was an assistant coach for Golden State. San Antonio for a couple years, then Golden State. Then the opportunity arose, and look at the years in '97. Well, I believe this is when they got the Admiral, I believe, or I believe this is when they had the Admiral, and then they had Tim Duncan. You look at this team. They finally developed. They gave him time. Like, you could say after maybe his 3 years. Well, to be fair, this was a shortened season, so I'm not sure if that counts. But you could look at many opportunities like that. Let's look at a coach like Quinn Snyder even. Maybe it's just Quinn. Even look at Quinn Snyder coaching. I believe he was coaching 2015. Was an assistant coach through all these teams: Atlanta, Lakers, Philly, Clippers, and then once he came to Utah, you saw there 38 and 44, 40 and 42, and then he finally started winning. Like, it takes time. And I just don't think that these coaches understand, or I don't believe that these executives understand like how much time it actually takes for these coaches to develop a system. I mean, let's look at Lloyd Pierce. I'm not sure if it's gonna have here. I mean, this to me is kind of frustrating that he was only given it here. I think people overestimate the Hawks' talent. That was my thing. Like I heard 6th through 8th, but I never thought that they missed last year and they can't fix that. And that's true. You can't fix that overnight, Sean. You are correct. But I thought the chemistry between Collins and Trey would be very good. I thought there would be some sort of situation where those two would get together, and then you just add Bogdanovich. But I think Gallo kind of slows the game down for them. And because he was always hurt in the first part of the season, he was never given the opportunity. And look, man, like, 29 and 53 is not the best. 20 and 47 is definitely not the best. And neither is kind of going 14 and 20. But I just don't understand why he was not given more time. Because, like you said, I don't think the Hawks were NBA championship bound. Like, no one thought of the Atlanta Hawks as a, contender for the NBA championship. No one thought that. So I don't understand why Lloyd Pierce doesn't get that opportunity to grow and develop his players, grow and develop his team, and grow and develop the philosophy that he wants to implement into this organization. And that's the frustrating part about it. Like, look, I know Lloyd Pierce is, he was hired in the 17-18 season, or I guess at the end of it. So at the end of the day, this is really, he's only completed 2 seasons. Can the Atlanta Hawks really guarantee me that they understand what type of coach they have in just 2 seasons? I mean, again, it is frustrating. I mean, let's even look. I want to see if Jerry Sloan had kind of the same situation with him. Another coach that, well, maybe that's him as a player. Let me look at him as a coach. Coach, look at that. Coach 3 seasons with Chicago, didn't do very hot. Had 1 good season. Then, I think he just stepped down to the bench, went to Utah. And then all of a sudden you saw, a coach that was able to grow and develop. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. Hawks would be better off at this point tanking for a top 3 pick. The problem is, Sean, I don't know, like, what else they could do, man. It's just kind of one of those things where I don't know what other player they could need. At some point it goes from draft picks to actually getting the good players to come. And they got Bogdanovich. He was a nice free agent pickup. But unfortunately he got hurt, and that's the reason why he's not able to be on the team right now, which, again, it is frustrating. I do get it. Let me see what Budenholzer did. I mean, the reason why I want to look at these coaches, because I want to see, like, if these coaches, had, bad seasons. Let's see. Bud. There we go. Him coaching. And again, another coach that sat on the San Antonio Spurs bench for all these years, and you saw what happened. Look at this. 38 and 44, finally got to Atlanta and started winning. I mean, I understand that, Budenholzer actually does know his X's and O's. I understand that, but there is some times where I'm just questioning his lineups and questioning, picks and all that stuff. But, again, did really well, so I can't really hate on that. And again, I don't know. It's just frustrating to me. But again, guys, I want to know your guys' opinion in the comment section down below. What do you make of sort of the situation that's going on with Lloyd Pierce? Do you guys agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys make of the situation at hand as it pertains to Lloyd Pierce? Should Lloyd Pierce have gotten an opportunity? Or do you think 2 years, you already know what kind of coach you have, you just got to let him go and you got to hire a new one? Like I said, let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys make of this story with Lloyd Pierce and the Atlanta Hawks? Do the Atlanta Hawks get into the playoffs now, or do you think it's a lost cause for this team? Like I said, let me know in the comment section down below. And now to move on to our final story of the day. This one, of course, is a very interesting one because let me preface it by saying this. I'm a sneakerhead. I love my sneakers. I love, wearing them. I love enjoying the passion of, players that got to wear those. You see so many different colors. You have the Kobe Grinches. You have, Kobe shoes. You got LeBrons. You got Kevin Durant's. You got Jordans, especially the higher Jordans, the old school, 1985s, or sorry, no, not 1985s, but like the Jordan 1s. You got, of course, you got your Jordan 11s. You got so many Jordans. You got so many Adidas now in the game with the Yeezys and all this other stuff. But what if I told you And it comes down to the reason why I talk about sneakers like this is because sneaker culture is very important in terms of how a lot of people move their stuff. You got people selling it, you got people buying it. And what makes it hard is, of course, that a lot of times now you can no longer go into the store and be like, I want a pair of Jordan 1s. And let me show you guys and kind of look through StockX, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Let's say I wanted a pair of Jordan 1s. Let's kind of look at the Jordan 1s that are coming out right now. I believe you got a let me see if I can find UNC and kind of look at it. It's one of the recently new ones, this one here. We look at, I would say, a Jordan 1 like this, which is worth about, 511, or if you look at the different prices, really worth a lot of money. I mean, you got, for the sizes that normally people are, from like that 8 all the way to maybe that like 14, 15 even. Like, you see how expensive the shoes are, correct? I mean, it's just kind of one of those things where sneaker culture has now kind of gone to StockX, Go, and many of these other places that are selling this sneaker for such a ridiculous price. But what if I told you that there's someone at Nike helping the resale market? And before you guys start commenting in the comment section, like, think about this. You wake up every day on a Saturday at 7 a.m. to go on the Sneakers app. And let me show you guys the Sneakers app to kind of give you guys an idea of what it is. You go to the Sneakers app. Hopefully it'll launch. You go to the Sneakers app. You look at all these sneakers. You love them, right? You see so many cool ones. You see the London Grays. Those are pretty cool. I like these. You have these ones, obviously sold out. Again, it is what it is. The problem is that because these shoes are so limited, it makes it so tough for you to wake up every Saturday weekend trying to get at least one pair of these shoes. I mean, let's think about this. Maybe some of these sneakers don't apply to you, but look at this. You got, maybe this one applies to you for the apricot orange, or of course you have the Obsidian blue coming out, which is the one that everyone wants. Or, you got some Dunk Lows, or you got some Air Force Ones, or you got these, I'm not even sure what these are, but the undercover collab. Like, you got so many of these type of sneakers, people. So many of them. And you have to wake up every Sunday. I'm talking, you have to wake up every Sunday. Hey, Yoy, how you doing, man? Or sorry, not Sunday. You have to wake up every Saturday to acquire one of these sneakers. Just for you to basically wait on the page, wake up at 7 a.m. and say, I'm finally going to get these. I'm finally going to get these. And then you get the dreaded, did not get them. But what if I told you that this story of undercover sneakers and sneaker selling goes even deeper than what we think? And let me bring you people to the story at hand. Nike VP resigns after family tied to sneaker resale undercover. So let me read the article to you. Nike headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon. Of course, that's where the headquarters is. But Ann Herbert, an employee of 25 years who recently served as the VP overseeing its North American businesses, left the company on Monday, according to an internal email viewed by Complex. Ann Herbert, the VP GM of North American Geography, has decided to step down from Nike effectively immediately. The email reads, "We thank Ann for more than 25 years with Nike and wish her well." Nike has also put out a press release this afternoon announcing the end of her tenure, confirming the move in a statement to Complex. Ann Herbert made the decision to resign from Nike, the brand said. Herbert leaves Nike coming days after the publication of a Bloomberg piece focused on her 19-year-old son, sneaker reselling son named Joe. The piece mentions a credit card Joe used for his reselling business, West Coast Streetwear, that was registered in Ann's name. The reseller insisted to the story's author that his personal connection to Nike exec not be written about in the piece and to cut off communication after it was brought up. And let's kind of look at this. I'm not sure if the website's even up. The website is up. And you see here, you got, stuff, they've obviously, you see, this to me is the reason why people have such disdain for the sneaker market. I'm talking such disdain because you have stuff like this. Let me tell you guys. Does someone really need that many sneakers in order to make them happy? You have so many sort of, Yeezy 350s. I don't know what these are. These are like other shoes as well. And if you go to their website, nothing. Nothing at all. Absolutely nothing at all. You can't even enter their website. They're a reselling website. Again, this is West Coast. I don't know if the owner, West Brick, was notified by my product. Again, account is private. Now let's go back to the story. Nike does not permit its employees to participate in sneaker reselling, and the practice of buying shoes at retail price only to sell them at higher price is still taboo to many collectors. A Nike spokesperson told Bloomberg that Ann has disclosed information about the business to her employer in 2018, and there was no violation of the company policy. The Bloomberg story sparked online outrage as where commenters were questioning whether the young Herbert was gaining unfair access to limited edition sneakers with the help of his mother. Some have brought up the 6 pairs of rare Air Nike mags, which sell for over $12,000 each, that he said he randomly discovered in a storage unit in January 2020, speculating that they were obtained through more nefarious means. One source claims that Joe would buy pairs in large quantities from Nike outlets using his mother's discount and reselling them later. Ann Herbert's preview at Nike included its sneakers app as a destination for coveted products where shoes could regularly sell out immediately, only to be resold on secondary markets. The brand spends most of its amount of energy and money trying to protect the platform from bots and resellers. I can already tell you that is BS. Do not listen to this article. They don't care. Nike doesn't care. Jordan doesn't care. We even have a whole situation with Marcus Jordan and the trophy room. Of course, Marcus Jordan being Michael Jordan's son, who owns a sneaker boutique in, I believe, Florida, who is selling these rare sneakers, but backdoored them to a kid named Benjamin Kicks that is a huge reseller in the market. And he had a bunch, and you can see it's the same type of pictures again, just like this one right here that I showed you guys on the website. Let me go back to his page, right? All these boxes, all these sneakers. I mean, look, man, these sneakers are really rare. Like, these go for a lot. Look at that. $4,500 for a pair of Michigan 4s. And again, so many sneakers, so many. Look at the Air Mags that he found in the unit. And you already have people talking about and backdoored as well. Apologize for kind of the language that you see from some of the users. And again, guys, this to me is the reason why people really hate shoe resellers. And it's the reason why I've kind of started to think that this business, this environment is just, it's the most toxic. I would say it's the most toxic environment. Because if you really think about a shoe that costs $45 to make at most, selling for about $160, maybe even less than that. Maybe it's $25 to make a pair of Jordan 1s with a resell, or to sell it at $190 for Nike, to then resell it for $300 to $400, $500 in the market. And again, look at these guys. A bunch of sneakers. You cannot tell me that this is not a huge problem for this. I mean, look at this. This is one of the sneakers that I just got. And I think that Nike needs to do an investigation on this woman. They need to do their due diligence and find out what this woman had, or what this woman is really involved in, because these, to me, these cannot happen. I'm sorry. These stories of bunch of sneakers in this type of capacity is unacceptable in any matter. I know I'm going to piss off a lot of people by saying that. I'm going to piss off a lot of people that are Nike, that are shoe resellers. I personally buy from resellers in the market. Shout out to one of my friend's brothers, Pino the Plug. I love his stuff. I think he's a great guy, and I think he does give decent. I do think he gives great prices for the product. Obviously, he's a reseller, so he's going to make his money. But I know that he's not having this sort of backdoor situation going on. Like this to me, if I'm a reseller or someone that's selling in the market and I notice this stuff, I'm frustrated. How would you not be frustrated to know that you're basically getting undercutted by these people? These people that obviously do all this stuff. I mean, let's see if any of these other situations are backdoored. Again, this is from 13 weeks ago. Nothing. I don't know if there's anybody that 13 weeks ago. Again, probably deleted some stuff. Again, let's, I don't know, maybe we can join their Discord. Let me do this really quick for you guys. And it looks like they violated Twitter rules. I mean, they are in some serious trouble, and I am starting to get frustrated with the way that this whole situation gets. I mean, let's look at their stories again from 6 hours ago. Again, this to me is just, it takes advantage of the people that actually want the shoes. And again, I mean, maybe they don't even care, to be honest with you. I mean, let's look at this again. Nothing too. Again, probably deleted some pairs, probably deleted some comments. Probably deleted a lot of things. It's just kind of one of those things that, look, man, I understand that you're a business person, you understand the business, and it kind of goes to the situation where you see Bloomberg's piece on the Joe Herbert business describes him using bots to compromise online launches, mentioning that he rings up about 132,000 in one morning for a launch of Kanye West sneakers on an artist Yeezy supply website. That same card, a corporate American Express, was registered under his mother's name. And this is just kind of one of those situations where it's one of the, like, it just frustrates everybody that wants to do this. And again, I talked about this earlier. We talked about Marcus Jordan. Again, these were the sneakers that we talked about. These are very popular sneakers. We know that Marcus Jordan, like, there's allegations of backdooring. It kind of talks about here where pairs have been scandaled from when it first leaked through a messy release. And I'll tell you this, I was disappointing, or I was man, I hope she does go to prison. I hope he loses his business. I hope she goes to prison, man. Because sneakers is one of those things that has caused a lot of violence as well. Like, I'm talking, like, people will beat you up if you have a pair of those sneakers. Like, for example, these ones right here. These ones resell, and let's go to Jordan 1s, and I'll show you for a second, trophy. Trophy Jordan 1s. The lowest ask, and this is, of course, not even, like, I would not even say regular size. Let's look at the sizes. Like, you go to sizes from, like I said, from 8 all the way until size 12, even 14. Look at how expensive these shoes are. And again, I wanted to preface this because I'm going to talk about the story at hand that we have to talk about with the trophy room. The funny thing is, we haven't even paid for the sneakers yet. And I'll tell you what happened here. The way that you had to enter into this raffle to get these specific sneakers was to do it through email. You would send an email with the list of your name, your address, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not your address, but I think your address, your shoe size, and I believe something else. You had to follow the page of the trophy room, which is, of course, owned by Marcus Jordan, a.k.a. the son of Michael Jordan. And every time I would put my name in, I would send the email out. It would always bounce me back and say, sorry, this inbox is full. Sorry, this inbox is full. And, this was kind of one of those things where you're like, it's one of those things where you're like, Yeah, I didn't get the sneaker today. It is what it is. I'm just going to have to deal with it. But this is what we have to look at here. We got here that Marcus referenced the shoes have sought to be distinguished those pairs. He distinguished they were stolen from Nike Memphis from those sold through Trophy Room. The main point of differentiation from its in the presentation, the set of blue laces he showed in his own previews, there weren't any leaked images. His narrative is that only pairs from Trophy Room Jordan 1s that have the blue laces are authentic pairs originating from the Trophy Room. And let me tell you right here and right now, it doesn't matter. I think that there are millions of pairs. Like, to be honest with you, I think there are a lot of pairs of these shoes. And, Marcus Jordan talked about, like, oh, there's only, like, a limited amount. There's not that many. But I really think that there is these sneakers that are out there. That are unauthorized. And what I mean by unauthorized is that basically they don't come from Nike or the manufacturers themselves. They come from China. They come from the factories. They come from these places where you see people make these shoes, or even you give the situation at hand where maybe you give them, or like another company or another factory steals the makeup of the shoe, steals how the looks, and then you just basically make your own and you call it unauthentic. Basically, you're trying to sell it for cheaper, for a cheap, trying to get a quick pickup price. And again, the reason why there has been a lot of situations with the allegations is because, let me see if I can look for it. Basically, there was a picture of a sneaker reseller called Benjamin Kicks. Let me look at this. And I can show you guys the Instagram post that I'm talking about. The reason why people are upset is because you see a post like this. Again, another one just like the person that we saw earlier with the son that works at Nike. It's the same thing right here. A bunch of pairs that this guy owns. And it's just kind of one of those things. I understand people like this kid. I mean, I'm not going to knock him. The only thing I'll knock is that the fact that it's one of those things where it's like, why do you need... I understand this is your business. I understand that you're trying to make money this way. I get it. But look, man, what's to say that this kid doesn't just get his sneakers from an unauthorized factory and just says, hey, these are real pairs? Because they all have the Nike logo. They all have the Nike box. I mean, you could basically finesse it if you want. There's no real authenticating pairs because of the way that the sneaker world is. It's just one of those things that it is frustrating. I mean, let's look at his stories. Nothing too crazy. Just kind of same old, same old. And again, like I said, I'm not trying to discredit anybody. I'm not trying to be, hating. The only one I'll hate is this kid that obviously used his mom's clout and his mom's cachet to get access to those sneakers and actually use them. And again, I just think I find it frustrating. It's hypocritical. And at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. And again, guys, let me know in the comment section down below if you are a sneakerhead or if you are someone that's interested in sneakers. Like, does this kind of perturb you from actually entering in the sneaker market? Does this frustrate you in the fact that you cannot go to a store and physically pick up these sneakers? You now have to do it through online raffles. You have to do it through all these other means because it's more fair. Meanwhile, these are the same people that will use bots, that will use different websites and software to get the shoes so that you don't get them. And again, I will always fight for fairness, and I will always fight, especially in the sneaker community. We need to find a way to get rid of the sneaker bots. I don't care what Nike says. They don't care. And the reason why they don't care is because I really do think that Nike works with these StockX. And, this is, of course, my speculation. So, again, take it with a grain of salt. I'm just speculating. I'm not saying they actually do this. But in my humble opinion, I think that Nike, Adidas, and many of these hype brands that have so much hype, the sneakers are so priced so high, I think that they backdoor a bunch of their product to StockX, to GOAT, so that they can be profitable. There's a reason why StockX is going public as an IPO very soon. Or I guess through a SPAC, which of course, again, we talked about SPACs. It's basically just a blank check company. And I think that these companies, Nike and Adidas, and many other of the hype brands like Off-White, Jerry Lorenzo, Fear of God, like many of these brands, I think they backdoored the product to these companies so that they can make a profit. They also can make a profit. And it works for both ways. It's pretty soon we're going to get to a situation where Nike says, we're doing an exclusive StockX launch where you can only buy it through StockX. and then we're going to get to a situation where StockX is going to double the price. And it's going to be a frustrating situation. But anyway, guys, thank you once again for coming to the channel. Really appreciate each and every one of you. We will find out more about the story. We'll see what goes on from there. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me here on The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. Please remember to hit that like button. Also remember to hit the subscribe button. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.